Okay.
Oh, yes, please record, because I promised Mona that we would send her the recording.
Okay, it's recording right now.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to hit a lot of different dynamics. With the compensation plan, there's different principles. And if you haven't had experience with the principles, or it'll be really hard to understand those principles and how they apply to you. And if you don't understand them, a principle is something that you act on. Like, it causes your behavior to behave a certain way. And so you're going to do certain things a certain way based on the principles that you understand. But most people don't even really think of principles. They just think of gravity. If I jump off the roof, I'm going to break my leg, so I'm not going to jump off the roof. But people don't think, well, that's the principle of gravity, and that's what's dictating my behavior. And so it's really a subtle thing, unless you're consciously aware of principles. And then there are some principles that just aren't taught. They're not taught in school. They're not taught in families. They're not taught at work at the water cooler. And so people never even get exposed to them. And then some of them are so subtle, most people don't even know them. I'll tell you right now, the 5% of the most wealthiest in the country, they understand the principle of making wealth. And so they behave differently than everybody else who's in the 95% who's not behaving like them. Does that make sense? So a principle is something that anybody can follow. Like, anybody can make the decision to follow the law of gravity. Anybody can make the decision to follow the principles of wealth and creating wealth in your life and having a total dream life, a life of freedom. But most people don't understand the principles. And so they never could really make a clear decision on following that principle. So what I want to do is just share with you different things. I mean, some of this you might already know. I wouldn't check out if you think you already know this stuff. When I go over some of the different dynamics of the compensation plan, I would really stay focused and take some notes and go back and maybe listen to the recording, because you never know what explanation of what principle is going to be the one that bridges the gap for you, and you all of a sudden understand it, and you now adjust your behavior because you understand why you need to adjust your behavior. Not because you're being told or because you're seeing what results somebody else is getting, but you understand inside of you. And you're dictating your own behavior based on your own understanding, not inside of you, not outside of you. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay. So always, 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 I don't care how much somebody's interested in the business, you've got to cover the products and the results that people are getting, because that is our business. I've made the mistake of going right into the business model with people who were big networkers that were interested, but as soon as I went into the business model, we lost them, because to them it sounded like the same thing over, the same old thing, when it's really not. It's our products that build this business. So, my results, just, going from where I was to where I got to on Isogenics, meant everything to me. Not a business. It just meant that now I could be a better mechanic, a better husband, a better father. No matter what I was doing, I could feel good while I'm doing it. And I'm not going to take the time to go into the products and the science right now, because I think most of you understand, the power of these products. But don't make the mistake of going right into a compensation plan and because you understand the principle and how simple it is to create wealth now, without first setting up why you're so passionate about it and how we can change people's lives and truly make a difference in the world. Okay? So when I was showing up in survival mode, I was not an asset to the world. Right? I was always tired. I was always down. I was unenthusiastic. I mean, there were moments where I was enthusiastic, but it wasn't consistent. So there was no compound effect because there was no consistency. So as soon as I got my health back and my mental clarity because of these products, I became an asset. Right? All right. So we know that there's a lot of different ways to get in, and these products are unparalleled. I just want to make sure that we really know that this is our business right here. And you better learn these products on a level that you can articulate them in a very quick way, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a 2-minute, commercial, where you could get somebody's interest because you touched one of their buttons, not your own button, but somebody else's button. You know, people don't care how much you know until they know that you have a solution for them to move their lives forward, right? And so you've really got to have a good understanding, but then you got to strategically use that understanding in a way that you can very quickly articulate to somebody the value that it's going to bring into their life, all right? Once you have that, once you have a customer, now you have a potential business partner really with limitless possibilities, all right? You can't separate the two. All right, so I want to first teach the principle of the power of two. And if somebody's not muted out, if you can mute yourself out, I keep getting a clicking noise, and I'm just not sure what that is, but I think if you mute it out, it would get rid of it. And JoJo, maybe you could monitor that.
Turn left on State Route 104.
Yeah, I see there's some background noise. That's just
Annie,
noise.
it's you. Can you mute yourself out?
Okay. Jimmy Smith, he still teaches this today after making $70 million in the company. He still teaches the same thing that made him his first $100 in the company. And that's the power of two. And a lot of people are going to say, yeah, I get that. I understand it. And I didn't understand it related to the compensation plan. I was pretty wowed, about the power of two, where a penny doubled for 30 days. Pretty impressive. But just because I could see that and it was shown to me, I didn't understand the principle of it applied to the compensation plan. It took about 4 months. So let's just see if we can present some of these principles. You can go back and watch this recording and watch it over and over until you feel like, okay, I'm getting it. And it was when I was driving in a car on the freeway, thinking to myself about the things I was learning, that moment happened as I was running it through my mind. So guess what? I didn't have the radio on, right? Because I'm making this a priority. I'm going to sacrifice some of these other things that are going to allow me to move my life forward. So the radio was turned off. All right. So the power of two is, when you enroll somebody, you enroll two people. That's the power of two. Now we just want to duplicate that, right? Everybody become consultants. So the way we show that with the penny is, when those two, that penny, if we just double the penny, it's going to turn into 4 cents. And then if the 4 cents the next day is doubled, it turns into 8 cents. And then on the 5th day, that penny that we started on day 1 just doubled to 16 cents. I mean, if you really think about it, that's a pretty huge increase based on that 1 penny, right? But it looks kind of slow, and we think of a penny as, well, I can't really buy much for 16 cents, but it's the principle. So 16 is going to double into 32. So we have 32 cents now. And then on the next day, it's going to double 64, $1.28, $2.56, $5.12. By the time we get to day 15, that 1 penny doubled every day, turns into $163.84. Now, if I'm not going to go the rest of the days of the month, but when we get to day 30, it's like $5 million. So it shows the geometric compounding effect. And I never took geometry. I never made it that far. But there's something about geometry or geometric that it compounds. And banks use it. With their interest, compounding interest. We've heard of that. It makes them a lot of money, you guys, with a little bit of compound with a lot of people. That's how these banks have these amazing infrastructures and these buildings that you see that look amazing. They're some of the best buildings in our society are banks. It's because they're charging the compounding interest a little bit with a lot of people. So think about it this way. This is our compensation plan. You get enrolled and you share it with 2 people. Now you're eligible to get paid. We want those 2 people to get paid because that's going to bless their life. First of all, they're going to be using the products every month and it's going to grow your business, right? Duplicate or die, Jimmy Smith says. And this is why you need the duplication, because it institutes the principle in your life of geometric progression. Do you get that? When you duplicate, it's going to facilitate this principle in your life. If you're a salesman, you're just selling, and then you move on to the next customer, and you sell, and you move on to the next customer, you're not instituting that principle because you're not training other people to sell like you do, right? So it's through the duplication. Now, let's just say that this is your organization, and you just enrolled 2 people, and it's perfectly geometric progressing. Now those 2 people are sharing it with 2 people. There's 4. So you now have 6 people in your group. Those 4 share it with 2. In one day, 8 people were added to your group. How many of us would like that? Somebody else in your team combined with other people's efforts, 8 people just showed up in your group in one day. Look at that compounding effect from just 4 people sharing it with 2 people. Some of us have hundreds of people in our group, and they're not even seeing 8 people. Why? Because people don't understand this principle, so it's not dictating their behavior. They're not making the decisions because they don't understand the behavior. They don't understand the principle. If they did, they would get out and talk to people. All right, so just follow this down. So, in one day, 16 people come into your group. Now you add all of these up together, that's 30 people in your group right there in 6 days. Now let's just see the power of the geometric progression, which they call the 8th wonder of the world. How many people came into your group on day 15? Somebody unmute and tell us how many people came into your group in one day through that geometric progression of 2. On day 15, how many came into your group? Somebody unmute.
16,384 people.
Yeah, 16,000, not $163. 16,000 people came into your group. What if that took a month for everybody to enroll 2 people? Anybody, I don't care if they can't sell ice in the Sahara Desert, they could enroll 2 people into isogenics in 30 days. There is no excuse. There isn't anybody that couldn't do it if they had made the decision, I'm going to go out and talk to people until I get 2 people enrolled. If they did that every day, they would absolutely get 2 people enrolled in 30 days. So just imagine if everybody did it in 30 days. Guess what? By day 13, if they were all ordering just 2 bottles of isogenesis, you'd be making over 50 grand a month. You would be at the top. Would that create freedom in your life? A passive residual income of $50,000 a month? So that's like, it'd actually be $54,000 a month, and you would be maxed out at $13,500 a week. That's the power of 2, geometric progression, and the generosity of our compensation plan, of our company. Paying you 6% on every single person that comes into your organization. Now, Robert Kiyosaki says, look, that's how you get on the right side of the cash flow quadrant. Only 5% do. The other 95%, their behavior is actually getting them to trade time for money. They're not using leverage. They're not doing this compounding effect and getting paid on other people's efforts. And therefore, they retire broke. They retire with their dreams and their wishes becoming unfulfilled. 95% of people retire that way because they're either an employee or they own a brick and mortar business. And I owned a brick and mortar business. So did you, JoJo. Would you trade what you're doing now to go back to that brick and mortar business? Man, I walked away from my business and went back to being a mechanic. It was a very successful business, automobile repair shop. But that business owned me, way more stress. I had less time in my life to do what I wanted. And the money wasn't a good enough trade-off. It wasn't a good trade-off. I couldn't buy my time back. And so I walked away from that business and I went back to being an employee. Problem was I went back to being an employee and I remembered, I remember why I started that business now. But so that's when I went into a funk. When you're over here on the right side, you don't show up to your business unannounced for 6 months and your business does as good or better while you're gone. That's when you're on the right side. And you're making 5% would be $330,000 a year. $330,000 a year. So what is that? A little bit over 5-star. That's about between 5 and 6-star, probably the rank. Between 100 cycles and 150 cycles, you'd be in the top 5%. And you could do it if this happens in your organization, if you facilitate this and get other people to duplicate. So it isn't a matter of just showing them the compensation plan. It's a matter of helping them to understand the principles. So profits are absolutely better than wages. And these are creating profits over here, but it's doing it with leverage. So let's go into something else here. So we've seen this little thing here that I did in the presentation. So $29, you can now start creating leverage in your life and getting the products at wholesale, right? So we know we need 100 BV and 2 bottles of isogenesis or any products combined could be 100 BV very easily. Now, what I want to show here is what I just showed on that last slide, but just drive home this principle in a little bit different way. So we know we get paid 6% on unlimited depth. That's how we got that $50,000 at level 13, because there's no cutoff on the products you're going to get paid on in your organization. It's unlimited depth. And trust me, guys, you have no idea how good you have it with Isagenix because there is no other company that pays like this. It's because of the desires and the intentions of Jim and Kathy Coover and John Anderson. All right, so Cindy gets enrolled. So she's at level 1. She enrolls 2 people. There's that duplication. She just compounded it by the power of 2. Now, I want to drive this principle home again here with the reality that most people are faced with. We have 24 hours in a day. And if you go 7 times 24, there's 168 hours in an entire week. We're talking morning and night, right? That's how many total hours there are in a week, 168. Now, one person working 40 hours for the week is going to equal 40 hours of labor, right? One person working 40 hours, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's 40 hours that they're going to get paid on. Let's say they get $10 an hour. So they just made $400. Now, here's what an employer does. And we're just still going to go off of the same thing, though, of what each one of these people are going to make. So we have 10 people now who are working 40 hours a week, which that would produce 400 labor hours. So how much is that? Totaled up with all 10 people, it's $4,000. Now that's still at $10 an hour, right? So we have 10 people working 40 hours, and they just were able to receive combined $4,000 divided up between all of them. So, right? Now, at my business where I work, the owner of the dealership, labor at that time was $90 an hour. So I don't know, what's 90 times 400? Where's my phone? 90 times 400, that's $36,000 that the owner would make from 10 mechanics turning 40 hours, turning wrenches, 40 hours of labor. He made $36,000. And he gives $4,000 back to us as employees. See, that's the 95%. They're getting ripped off. Yeah, wages are fine, but profits are super fine, right? So here's what networking does. It gets 40 people to work a few hours in the pockets of their free time during the week, even while they're working. But look at 40 people doing a little bit does the same amount of hours as that for that employer, 4,000. It's still 4,000. 40 people doing a little bit could create a lot of profits. The same as a few people doing a lot. So what networking does is it just flips it upside down, and Isagenix shares that profit equally with everybody. Imagine the dealership owner, trying to pay all of us what he's getting paid. He couldn't do it. So it flips it upside down and institutes the principle in our behalf. We're now facilitating that principle for us. Yeah, the company's still giving us a smaller percentage and they're becoming very wealthy, but that's a legacy company that is now giving us more bonuses. They didn't have the bonuses back when me and JoJo started. So yeah, they're still giving us a smaller percentage like the employer, but they're giving us unlimited potential by allowing us to leverage our time and pay us on unlimited depth and then re-enter and re-enter and re-enter and make as much money as we would like, right? So there's the principle being facilitated in our lives in an unprecedented way to create wealth and get on that right side of the quadrant. I actually got on that right side of the quadrant in 13 months. 13 months got on the right side of that quadrant in Isogenics. And I've been working as a mechanic for 15 years and was still on the left side. So again, if we just followed that down, again, 54 grand a month is what you'd be making. Now, this is what has allowed us to live our dream life. That principle that you just saw, along with the products and the compensation plan. Okay, so the compensation plan instills those principles, lets me facilitate them, not just the company, and the products. So what do I need to learn? I need to learn how to get people to purchase those products, put them in their body, and then stay on those products. And then out of those customers, which ones are motivated to live a better life? All right? Some people want a better life, but they're not motivated. They're not going to go out and talk to people no matter how much you show this to them. But there will be those who are self-motivated, and it's going to be on all different levels. That's why you show it to everybody. You don't decide who is going to do it. You're just going to watch and see. So here's the thing. Janie Snellgrove, Sean Escobar, and Kelly and Tyler Dickerhoff. Janie was in for 7 years. This is a real story. These are people in Isogenics. JoJo and Vinny and I know these guys. So in 7 years, Janie had 4,000 conversations. That's a lot of conversations. You see, why would Janie go out and have 4,000 conversations with people about Isogenics when some people only talk to their family and a couple of friends, and then they say this doesn't work? So they might talk to 8 to 10 people, and then they decide it doesn't work. But Janie, she's willing to talk to 4,000 people where the other person was only willing to talk to 10, because Janie understands the principle. She knows that in talking to 4,000 people, how many did she personally enroll? 200. So think about how many people said no to her. 3,800 people said no. But that's okay with Janie because she understands the principle. So out of 200 people, how many of them became top producers, business builders in her organization? How many? 6. So she had 4,000 conversations, 200 said yes, 3,800 said no, 194 of them are basically customers, and 6 of them are building a successful business. What's Janie's top month that she earned? $82,000. See, I could show this to somebody, they would be impressed, but they wouldn't do this if they don't understand the principle, that geometric progression of numbers. See, there's something that you don't see here if you don't understand the principle or understand the compensation plan that Janie absolutely understands. She would have talked to 5,000 if she would have had to get to here. So what we don't see is out of these 200 people that were customers, how many of them actually introduced somebody to the products, but they didn't build a business with it? So they got some people started. Out of those, how many of them really are making a good income? You don't see those in here because they're not personally enrolled by Janie, but Isogenics pays Janie on their efforts. So even customers who shared it with somebody, because of their results, they were forced to share, and then that person shared it with somebody who shared it with somebody, and that person built a business and became a top producer. They're not listed right here, but Isogenics pays you on that person that's building a business because you get paid 6% on everybody. That's what's contributing to this. Also, another thing that we don't see here that Janie knows is that the upline is going to be supporting, and it's possible that the upline enrolls somebody down under Janie. We don't see that number here, right? But does Janie get paid on those people that the upline enrolled down under Janie and put her on her team? Absolutely. So, and another significant number that we don't see here, and this is really typically, one of the ways that your business is going to grow, either you partnering up and helping that person over here that came from a customer that you enrolled, or these 6 that say we want to do the business. How many conversations did they have in how many years? Let's just equal it to Janie's. If we go the same amount of conversations, that's 24,000 conversations that we don't see represented right here. But Janie knows it. And so how many conversations, how many personally enrolled, how many top producers did they have? Isagenix pays you on all of that. And so how many people were on Janie's team? Way more than 200, 45,000. So it's not only geometric progression off of Janie's efforts, it's geometric progression off of whoever the upline might enroll under her. It's geometric progression off of whatever customer gets in and shares it with somebody because they're forced to. There's all of these different ways for this geometric progression to grow. But it's not going to happen on its own, you guys. You have 2 legs, and if it's going to be, it's up to me. So how many conversations are you going to have until you have a payday that frees you up to do whatever you want, whenever you want? Sean, 7 years, 5,000 conversations. So he did have 5,000 conversations. 200 people enrolled, only 2 top producers. I wonder what his top income was. 58,000. How many on his team? 99,000. Janie's making more with less people because the training and educating people on what the products are and supporting them and taking responsibility for their success. That's probably what's going on here. It's going on here as well. It's just more effective here. Better leadership. I'm not saying Sean's not a good leader. This just is a wider variety of leaders that are doing a better job. Kelly and Tyler, 4 years, only 2,700 conversations. 200 people enrolled, 12 top producers. Look at their top month, 199,000, with less people than Sean, 68,000. Great leadership going on here. Look at that. Look at those leaders that developed from their personally enrolled. How many conversations did these 12 have up on this line? How many did they enroll? How many leaders do they have? And on and on and on that geometric progression goes. That penny being doubled, that's what's happening here. So we all know how to log into our websites, enroll people, and then you have the enrollment process that begins the principle of leverage and residual income and passive income. So you get enrolled, and I think you guys might all know how this works, but for sake of those who may be watching this in recorded mode, when you get enrolled, you have your own website. You're now a customer, and it's going to track the people who get enrolled under you. So this is really a position of equity, especially when you have an upline that's building a business, and then they're partnering up with people, and you create some great synergy. So you have a left team and a right team. This would be your left team over here. This would be your right team. So you enroll Bob on your left team and Pam on your right team. Now you have 2 people in your group. Doesn't that look familiar? Looks just like that penny being a double a day when it started out. So now Bob orders product and Pam orders product. I'm now a consultant, and that volume is going to start accruing the BV so that I can start getting paid on it, start getting my cycles. So it's going to calculate it every week, and it's going to pay every Monday. So you get to track your volume and see which team is doing what every week and how much you've been paid every week. So you get paid on your own volume too, so we're just going to accrue that right up into that side. Now you get a $50 bonus for hitting consultant. We just want to duplicate that again. Doesn't that look familiar? 1 penny, 2 pennies, 4 pennies, You see how the principle is starting to happen where you get to that day 15, day 16? So every time you get 300 on one side and 600 on the other side, you get a cycle. Pays $54. That's what our commission is called, a cycle. So they're going to tell you how many cycles you have throughout the day. So when Bob and Pam enroll people, there's our 4 more people that just got added to the organization. And Isogenics is generous enough to pay me on them. So it's going to calculate that BV. Go to the left team. It's going to go to the left team. Bob now becomes a consultant. So I get $100 bonus because I enrolled Bob and I just helped Bob get to consultant. That's called the leadership bonus. Bob gets $50 just like I got $50. Tim orders, goes into the right team. Dan orders, that makes Pam a consultant. I get another $100. Pam gets $50. Dan's order goes to the right side. There's my cycle. I just got paid $54 for that geometric progression and the volume of products that was ordered. What's going to happen on the next level where Joe gets to and Deb gets to and Tim gets to and Dan gets to? It would look just like our penny doubled. On that day, there would be 8 people. What if it was that month, right? So it subtracts the volume and it waits for more volume to build up and for you to cycle again. And that's the geometric progression. That's the principle. Yeah, it's on a small scale and that's only $54, but you're working towards building that geometric progression. It's not going to happen on its own. You've got to take leadership. You got to be the CEO of building this organization and getting this to duplicate. Now, it'll never happen perfectly where well, I'm not going to say it never happens. There's a possibility that it could happen perfectly, but what typically happens is Bob shares it with Joe, and then Joe shares it with somebody, and that person that Joe shared it with, let's say it's Alan. Alan enrolls 25 people in his first year. That's what Cindy did, the home health nurse. She enrolled 25 people in her first year. But she had 950 in her group. Okay? So this is Tracy O'Malley. Her story is incredible. She was going to commit suicide. Single mom, very bad health. Products turned her life around, woke her up, and now she had a mission. She had a purpose in life, a reason for getting up. And she talked to 1,000 people about it in 2 years. Enrolled 90, had 5 top producers, and her biggest month is $126,000 in 1 month. 18,000 people on her team. How many of you would go out and talk to 1,000 people, get 910 no's, and get 90 yeses to get this $126,000 month? How many of you would be willing to do that? You might look at that and say, wow, I'd be willing to do that. But if you get the principle, if you don't get the principle and understand the principle that leads to this, you'll go out and talk to 10. They all tell you no, and you don't talk to another person ever again. You might even keep showing up to the meetings, but you're not going to talk to people. I've seen it happen. I've seen people come to meetings for years that aren't out there talking to people. They're not having any conversations. You don't have the conversations, this isn't going to happen because it's part of the principle. The conversations is part of the principle that leads to this. So me and Carrie, 10 years, yeah, I was willing to have 10,000 conversations. 150 people enrolled, only 1 top producer. 90,000 in 1 month. 200,000 people in our group, right? So how many conversations are you willing to have? That's going to be based on your drive, your understanding, and what your vision is. What are your goals? What are you setting for yourself? So as that organization starts to grow out, here's typically how the organization grows. It's not going to be everybody telling 2 people like a penny doubled every day. This person didn't tell anybody. This person didn't tell anybody. They were enrolled by you. And they're using the products. This person shared it with 2 people. This person shared it with more than 2 people, and they have people sharing it with more than 2 people. See, that's typically how it works. This would be a Cindy right here. She didn't just enroll 2 people. She kept enrolling people left, right, left, right, left, right. And then this person all of a sudden started going left, right, left, right. This would be a consultant machine right here. Cindy would be a consultant machine. This person would be a consultant machine. You don't just want consultants. Look at that. That's not doing the principle. Yeah, you'll get paid on that person's efforts, but it's very minimal and it's kind of dead in the water. They're not enrolling any more people. So it's not facilitating the principle of leverage. She's not leveraging. You're not leveraging this person anymore. You did in the beginning with 2 orders, and maybe they do it every month. So there's passive residual income, but leverage isn't happening here after they stop sharing it with people. But so you don't just want consultants. You don't just want to hit executive. You're following the executive roadmap to success to identify consultant machines. Now, look, you didn't even enroll this person, but they're a consultant machine in your downline. What's a consultant machine? It just means they keep going left, right, left, right, left, right until they find people who are willing to go left, right, left, right, left, right. You want consultant machines. George Ruiz taught me that phrase, consultant machine. People who keep enrolling until they find people who keep enrolling. Now you're doing the penny doubled a day, right? And at a certain point, you've got this person, this person, this person, this person. They're doing more than you could do in an 8 or 10 hour workday. I couldn't believe how easy it was for me to replace the income that I could make working 14 to 16 hours a day. It didn't take very many people doing a little bit to replace my personal efforts. That's the leveraging. That's that geometric progression. And if everybody knew how that eventually would show up, and really how few people it takes to actually, how few consultant machines it actually takes, they would be talking to somebody every day. They said, Dave, talk to 2 people a day. That would be 10 people within a 5-day period that you've talked to. I said, well, if 2 people will do it, then I'll talk to 4 because I want to go faster. And then on the weekend, I could talk to way more than 4 because I'll have the Saturday off and I could just talk to as many people as I want to all day long. I replaced my income in 4.5 months. So the way the compensation plan pays is everybody gets paid on that person's efforts. It just goes right on up and pays everybody. Then when this person orders, that's passive residual income. Just goes right up and pays everybody. So if 19 people here, they all ordered 100, this person would have 1,900 in their right bank. 17 people on this side, 1,700 in their bank. That's profits are better than wages. This person did not go out and work for all of that volume. Other people were working to create this volume. That's what the 5% do. Now, here's the cool thing with Isagenix. This person isn't working for you. They're working for themselves and their family. And they're on a mission. And the products change their lives and they now have a purpose. So whether you're in their upline or not, they don't care. They're going to build a business. But Isagenix is generous enough to pay you on that person's efforts 100% equally. So right there we have 3 cycles. 600 can go into 19 3 times and 300 can go into 1,700 3 times. So you just made $162 off of yours and other people's efforts. Subtracts the volume and just keep that baby growing. How do you keep it growing? By continuing putting effort and focus and energy into it growing. Income producing activities. Things that are going to get people to want to take the products and get people to take a look at the compensation plan. Those are the 2 things that are your priority. Get on these products, join me in my business so you can start your own business. And then as it continues to grow, this person just became a consultant. These 2 people's orders go right up. That's leverage and passive income. You had nothing to do with this person enrolling those 2, and you just got paid another cycle, so you just got $216 so far. Subtract the volume, let's do it again. So I knew if it was going to be, it was up to me. That's why I put this PowerPoint together. I wasn't going to take, let people happen, through happenstance or serendipitously fall into the compensation plan and understanding it. I took matters into my own hand. I'm going to educate people how to get their products paid for, how to get their cell phone paid for, how to pay off their credit card debt, how to make some money to take that vacation they've always wanted to take. And if they're really ambitious, how to move into that house in the area of town that has the best view that you've always wanted to live in. Let's go. Let's start having our conversations. Who do you know? And if you run out of people you know, then you'll start meeting new people. Alex, I did a meeting at Alex's home for the first time. I met Alex for the first time, me and Malcolm. We went into her home, did a meeting. She got somebody at her house that she met that morning at the grocery store. That person is almost a crystal manager now. Alex has only been in for 31 days. And the person that she met at the grocery store, didn't know her, is almost a crystal manager now in 31 days. All right, so that's what I want to go over. I don't want to go into the executive bonuses and things. You want to get with your leader, get with your upline, and print out the executive roadmap to success. This will help you to identify consultant machines and get them enrolled into your organization. This is the pathway to follow, which teaches you the work to do. Enroll 2 people and give them the opportunity by teaching them to enroll 2 people, right? And don't stop with those 2. Go out and enroll more and teach them the opportunity to get to consultant, and go out and enroll more. I hit executive in a month and a half, but we've enrolled over 200 people personally, but it only takes 10 to hit executive, right? So that's the numbers that went into the income that we're making on a monthly basis now. So JoJo, I want to toss it over to you and Vinny and have you add any remarks or any comments, and then we could take any questions. But again, I would seriously take a look at this again. We'll get it posted up on YouTube. Really get to where you understand this principle, and to where not just you understand it, because that's great that you understand it, but if you can't get other people to understand it, then you're dead in the water. You've got to become, the educator. You got to become the trainer. You got to become the teacher that shows people how to do this. And you can do it on a napkin. I just went into a lot more detail. I like visual, and you could refer people to this, but you could do a napkin presentation and show them how they could get their products paid for and more. JoJo?
Thanks, Dave. That was great. It's funny because, having your own business, it's all the things that we do to trade time for money. We get a job. We open our own business. Like, I didn't make money tanning people when I wasn't there. If somebody wasn't in my tanning bed, I wasn't making money. It cost me over $250,000 to have those salons. So coming into this, I spent $29 and, a couple $100 on product that I ate. And it doesn't seem like that. How could you make so much money off of such a small investment, right? Don't you have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to go make this money? And in seeing it the other way, we've made the smallest investment here. That's so small. The investment that we make is time and money and connections and conversations. But how can that create such an income? And so I think that's sort of sometimes where the disconnect is because how is this a viable business? You paid $29 for it. So when you look at that, it's almost crazy how little the investment is for having an unlimited potential. And to really understand what that means of unlimited potential, you can make here as much as you can put effort into. There's no ceiling. There's no cap. It's not like here, now you made $5,000. Now you're done. You can't make any more. That's not true. It's unlimited. Like, I don't even know what our top people are making right now. It's, you know, it's a lot.
2 million plus a year.
Right? A year. So not shabby money, you know, for a $29 investment and products that you get to eat every single month. But to go to bed every single night and, you know, we've made a certain amount of money that day. And then when we wake up in the morning, we have more money because people's orders went through in the middle of the night. People's orders from people that I don't know, most of them, that I had nothing to do with enrolling them, helping them order. I had nothing to do with it. That money comes through in the middle of the night and we wake up and have more money in the morning. So when you think about, you know, I'd love to make money while I sleep, that's what we do. So who wouldn't love to be able to do that? And when we first got involved, I just knew there was potential. I can't even tell you what I saw. I can just say that, you know, somebody said, oh, you could be a millionaire here. And I said, oh, I want to be a millionaire. I didn't really fathom what that meant. And I saw it as dollars, but what it's given us is the dollars are great, but it's the time and choices and how we've been able to go into other people's lives and affect them to be able to do the same thing and affect them to be able to help them up into a space where they have this amazing life as well. So it wasn't just for us. It wasn't just for Dave. We all just kind of stuck our hand out. Anybody who wanted to come along, you know, we gave the pull. And it's changed everything for us. Because who would have thought, you know, and it took him 6 years to get on board and say yes. And so, oh, look, how weird that is that I can see us in that picture.
Like, hi. And I like the analogy of it. If you knew there was a $10,000 check underneath of a pile of rocks on one of those rocks, would you keep looking for that $10,000 check because you knew it was there, or would you give up on it? It's the same with residual income. Once you know the money is there, why would you give up on it? Why would you stop? It's there. You know you're going to get it. It's just a matter of when. And I think that's a great analogy about our business. You know the money's there. It's just a matter of when and how do I do it.
Janie and Sean and Kelly and Tyler, they knew the money was there. So they just kept talking to people. I knew the money was there. JoJo and you guys knew the money was there. I want to say something that I think, I was thinking about this the other day. One of my baseball coaches, he lined us all up and ready to bat, right? So we had to take turns. And he had some people come and stand by him on the pitcher's mound. And he said, he was whispering to them. And nobody knew what he was saying to the people out on the mound. And so we're coming up to bat. And you would see the people around the mound going, oh my gosh, yeah, you could totally tell after a couple different batters had come up. And what he had told them was, you can see in their eyes, if they're scared up to bat, you can see it in their eyes. So he was making the point, there are those that come up to bat and there's no fear in their eyes. He says, those are the ones that have the higher batting averages. Those are the ones that are going to be your great baseball players. And the reason why, it's all mental. You building this business is all mental. It's all what you're focusing on, like you're going up to bat. The ones that are scared, what are they thinking about? You can literally see it in their face. What are they thinking about? I'm going to get hit by the ball. I'm going to get hit by the ball, you know, or whatever. And the ones that are going up and they don't have the fear, they're like, I'm going to hit a home run, man. I'm getting on base. We're going to win this game. And that's all mental. It's all mental because nothing's happened to them yet. It was all what they were projecting in their mind. And so if you're thinking, well, I don't know, when Lynn Hagedorn says, who do you know? What's your eyes saying when she says that? What's your eyes saying when she says, who do you know? Do you immediately go to, I'm going to get hit by the ball, or I'm going to hit a home run? I'm doing this because I can do that, right? So again, it's all mental. And I don't care where you're at, you always need to be on a personal development journey. You always got to be working on your mind to get it better and better every single day. You got to be relentless with it. When you do that, you'll find yourself, maybe you were afraid when you got up to bat, but you can overcome that. And you're now the person who is showing no fear when you're coming up to bat because you got your belief level and your confidence to an 8, a 9, a 10. And that only comes through personal development. I would absolutely encourage you to do Healthy Mind and Body and commit to it. And set your goals and your dreams for the things that you want to accomplish, and know that you have the vehicle to go for it. You have the vehicle to move into that home, to take those vacations, to pay off that debt, to make the impacts that you're wanting to make. But you've got to believe it's all mental. It's 100% mental. Everything else follows behind that. So I'm going to end there unless there's anybody that has any questions or anybody else that wants to make any other comments.
Jane, Kelly, Annie, Sherry, you guys have any questions?
No, that was great though, Dave. Thanks. So it would explain the compensation very well.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks. Thanks so much, Dave.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Yeah, you bet. So don't just embrace that for you. Learn that to where you can teach that to other people. If not, you're gonna stall out. You'll keep showing up for the meetings, and then eventually maybe you won't show up for the meetings anymore, right? And so I was thinking, you guys talk about it the 10th or the 17th, and the sooner you let me know, the better, before somebody else schedules in that time, because I'm working with other people who are wanting me to go different places. But if you want me to come down again to Oceanside, October 10th or the 17th. All right, you guys look at that and then let me know. I want to build this thing with you guys. I totally believe, and when I talk, I'm talking from the place of myself and the things that I've learned. So I'm not speaking at you guys. I'm basically speaking at me, and you just get to listen in on what my mind's saying to me. So I absolutely believe in you. There are people like David Wood and Lenny who could breathe belief into you, and they just say words that get you fired up and you're ready to go. I don't have that gift. I think mine is more, if you get the principles and I can help you understand those principles, they'll get you to change your behavior. But I don't want you to leave this Zoom feeling like, man, this is more than I can do. You guys, I hope I'm speaking belief into you that you're one conversation away from finding that next person like Kelly or like Alex did. And let me just read this to you from somebody so that you can know that that person is out there, because you're the conduit to that person that's looking, right? So listen to this text that I just got from somebody to just send us off and be inspired to find somebody that we can do this for. I just want to share my deepest gratitude I have for you today. You have gifted me beyond measure. I am alive again, excited again. My dreams are back, and I once again can help others in so many meaningful and especially life-altering ways. In fact, what you have given me is truly the perfect solution to bring people back to their wholeness, to their innate truth, which is pure love, indeed heaven on earth. Who we become with the bundled vehicle of the Isogenics Products Company, leaders like you, and this opportunity is displayed as a self-love that organically lights up our personal world. And together with the light of love in us, we go forth and ignite others. We change the world one person at a time. It's magical, and I'm forever in appreciation. I'm already experiencing the ripple effect of love in waves flowing back as transformational stories are shared and visions and dreams. Somebody pinch me, right? That's what we have. And you've got to believe it. You just got to get into action, and doing nothing breeds doubt and fear. Doing nothing breeds doubt and fear. Getting into action, whether it's personal development, getting out and doing income-producing activities, that's going to create this kind of attitude. So with that, you guys, let's rock it. I'm looking forward to getting back out there again. Let's do another meeting, and let's fire people up and change their lives. All right, you guys, thanks.